Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. Maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck in your business, job, or life. All of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly. Today's no exception. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Richard Kaye. Dr. Richard Kaye has had many different iterations of his career. Engineer, retired chiropractor. What he's best known for and how I met him was as a business growth strategist. As a former vice president of CEO Space and current business development manager for Top Talent Agency, Richard has been serving the entrepreneurial community for over 25 years, enhancing a culture of collaboration and cooperation. Richard is internationally acclaimed lecturer, having presented seminars and workshops in Australia, France, Japan, Russia, as well as in the United States. He's shared the stage with experts such as Lisa Nichols, who I definitely know in the coaching community, Jack Canfield, who you might know as the author of Chicken Soup for the Souls, the series, Bernie Dorman, and a myriad of other leading entrepreneurs. He's been featured on KTLA television in Los Angeles, California, and PBS even did a special about him and the work that he's doing. He was recently awarded the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award at the Publicity and Publishing Conference, and he's also known for his program, The Secrets of Empowering Negotiation, which was featured in Forbes. And his book, The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life, helps entrepreneurs grow their businesses from the inside out. He doesn't just do all of that, he volunteers too. He served as a non-governmental organization or NGO member of the United Nations, and he's been on the board of directors of for-profit and nonprofit companies. He was a founding member of Taos in New Mexico, Entrepreneur Network, or TEN, and Taos, New Mexico is where he resides with his wife and from where he is joining us via Zoom. So, without further ado, please join me in a round of applause as we welcome Dr. Richard Kaye to our show. So, yay! Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Barbara, good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's interesting because in your role as a talent manager, you first reached out to me, and then I also am really excited because I'm going to be featuring your wife in a future episode. She's a brilliant author. And but I also wanted to talk to you because you've done all of these amazing things. And so, first of all, as we ask all of our guests, I'm of course curious, what did little Richard Kaye want to do when he was growing up?
Grow up. I'm still looking toward growing up. And by the way, I didn't know that you were going to interview Angela. That's exciting. We'll talk about her in a little bit. As a little kid, I suspect, because I don't have a clear memory, I wanted to be an electronics engineer. And lo and behold, I did that. I accomplished that. And that was enough, and then went on to have more fun in life. I am not linear, logical, and stuck in structure where things have to be. So I got out of that.
Awesome. So you decided you want to do these other things. So how did you get from the little person who wanted to be the engineer, which you did that? I mean, you became a chiropractor. You've worked with entrepreneurs. You've helped people get exposure on national and international scales. How did you find that path?
Well, I ultimately got a degree in business management from New York University, Long Island campus. And then I went on to get my degree in chiropractic, moved to San Diego, and we'll talk about publicity in a little bit and getting featured in the media. I began working with entrepreneurs. And, well, I'll share it now. How do you grow any business? Barbara Ann, there were 3 in San Diego when I moved from New York. Yeah, exactly. To go start a business. Well, I discovered that Most people are just down here with everybody else. So I got myself invited to be on the morning television talk show in San Diego. I turned that into getting invited back every month. Did that for probably a year or so. Then I got invited to, I got an article in the San Diego Tribune, then an article in the Los Angeles Times. And here's the pivot point, ladies and gentlemen. You want people talking about you. You want to stand out from the crowd. Barbara Ann, one day I get a phone call from the producer of ABC News in San Diego. The essence of the question was, who are you? We're hearing about you. Now I got a 6:30 news segment. Then I got a very similar phone call from a producer at PBS. Same kind of question. Who are you? Well, now I got a PBS segment about me.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara, and this is what must happen to stand out from the crowd, because you want people to say, I choose you, and they can only do that when they know about you. Mm-hmm. So that adventure took me into business. And then one day I'm meditating, and I hear, shut your practice and work with entrepreneurs. And I looked around. There's nobody there. So this is the Reader's Digest version of that. But 3 weeks later, I shut down 30 years. I already owned 80 acres where I live, as you mentioned, in Taos, New Mexico, drove out here and began working with entrepreneurs. And that's what I've dedicated my life to for the past 25 or 6 years, whatever it is. So I shut the practice, came out here. It's an interesting journey, at least to me.
It's an interesting journey to anybody. I mean, to take something, 30 years, thriving chiropractor, recognized experts, been invited on shows, and you're meditating and you hear a message that you're meant to go in a different direction. Now, there are people who are watching this episode right now who are afraid of change. The fear of staying the same is still stronger than the fear of change. And you closed down a thriving medical practice to drive to another state and pursue your passion at that time, and continues to be, which is working with entrepreneurs. Where did you find the courage to do that?
I'm laughing because I don't know it was courage. It could have been craziness. Buddy of mine, and most people know Tony Robbins, says the quality of your life is determined by the level of uncertainty you can handle. And to speak to what you just talked about, people afraid to shift.
Yeah.
Most of us live in certainty.
Yeah.
We have a pattern. We get up, we do the same thing. We call them habits or certainty. We're repeating the same things in our lives. I was totally fine, whatever that means. I was highly fulfilled in my practice, helping people improve the quality of their lives. So it's not that I escaped because, I'm looking for something else to do. It was believing in whatever we want to call it, what I heard, meditating. Whether you call it God, source, unit, whatever it is. It landed on me. And again, there's more story to that.
Yeah.
But it landed on me, and I just surrendered to the unknown, to the uncertainty. And I came out here, here being Taos. I knew one person who had invited me out, 5-10 years earlier just to visit. And he took me out to where he meditates, and I fell in love with it. He said, the land's for sale. So I bought 80 acres. I didn't have anything out here. When, ladies and gentlemen, you step into the unknown, it's going to be scary until you embrace it. And Barbara, and people ask me, do I miss practice? And I lovingly say, I miss locking the door Thursday night at 6:00 and opening it Monday morning. You're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. What weekends? There is no time off. We choose to make it. So It's a different lifestyle. You have to embrace uncertainty in your life to branch out from whatever it is you're doing now.
Wow. And that would be one of the many reasons why you have a book and have been so successful, because you are so dead on with everything that you just said. So you pick up, you go. And I don't know how big Taos, New Mexico is, but it sounds like 80 acres there is, you don't have a lot of neighbors. But
well, yeah, there's 5,000 people here.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's a Native American community. It's an art community. There's virtually no, I should say virtually, there is no industry here. On the downside, people ask, do you have a Trader Joe's? Yeah, we keep it an hour and a half south in Santa Fe. Costco is 2.5 hours south in Albuquerque. It's a choice. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York, grew up in congestion, San Diego. The neighbor, I mean, you could almost literally, it was a very nice home, a place called La Costa. Deepak Chopra's place was right across the other side of the golf course. And I'll dare say upscale. Still, congestion. Of course, you can drive 10, 15 minutes and be anywhere. Nordstrom's, Macy's, you name it's there. We don't have that here. Mm-hmm. There's Nordstrom's is 2.5 hours away down in Albuquerque. Yeah. It's a choice, ladies and gentlemen. How do you want to live? It's easier here. It's easier when you find what it is that every morning you get up and say, yes, I can't wait to whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Most people are, shit, I got to go to work today. Yeah. Find what lights you up. Find your passion. Let it drive you.
Yep. And like I said, you're speaking my language. So with such a small group, talk to us about TEN, the Taos Entrepreneurial Network.
It began by a guy who had done this nationally. He came out. I was probably a member of the Chamber of Commerce here, and I was invited to participate. And what we did was help emerging entrepreneurs grow. You're an entrepreneur. You come across people, I suspect, who have a brilliant idea and no clue how to make it real.
Yes. All the time, especially when I was with the Small Business Administration. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, the epitome of it. So let's just say it's a similar model. We're all volunteers. We didn't even get lunch when we had our board meetings. And it's to serve other people. And what I do now is what you spoke to, Barbara, and is, ladies and gentlemen, you're an entrepreneur. One of the best ways to grow your business is be featured in the media. And I go back to the story that I began with, where I got phone calls that led to more media exposure. Doesn't make a difference if it's a podcast, a webinar, you're on stage, you speak at Rotary or Kiwanis. You must leverage that kind of publicity, those kinds of being featured. So maybe you'll get a phone call from PBS. And if you stick around, and I invite you to, I'm going to give you 10 ways to leverage that publicity as a gift. And it doesn't make a difference how small it might seem to you. People choose you because of the perceived value. Yeah. When you see someone in a feature article in a newspaper, Barbara, what does it say to you about that person? Hey, they're writing about that person. Yeah. How did they get in the paper? What did they do differently? Yeah. You can do that. That's what we do.
So awesome. So we are at the halfway point. So we're going to pause for a break with our commercial sponsors. And then when we come back, we'll talk more about what you just offered in terms of sharing your expertise about the hows and whys of being in front of people and sharing your voice whenever the opportunity arises. So please come back for more with Dr. Richard Kaye and What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and today's awesomely special guest, Dr. Richard Kaye, who has been working with entrepreneurs for a quarter of a century to help them grow their businesses from the inside out. And, you know, before the break, he gave us a little bit of teaser in terms of some things that businesses can do to help get themselves out there into the spotlight, into the media, into opportunities to speak and things like that. So, Richard, let's jump right into that conversation, you know, because one of them is being on What the Why. So,
So, you know, Barbara Ann, you and listeners, viewers, you've heard the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You've heard that, yes?
absolutely.
I invite you to take it a notch much higher than that. It's who knows you. And again, I go back to where we opened with my getting a phone call because someone knew. They didn't know me yet, but they knew of me. And now that I know you're going to interview my amazing wife, Angela Lee, I'm going to share a story. She doesn't generally talk about this. She writes fairy tales. She writes stories so that children fall in love with themselves. When they do that, they don't go out and shoot up schools and stuff like that. We met. She was living in the UK. She's from San Francisco. She was living in a place called the Cotswolds in the UK. She had spent, Barbara Ann, over $200,000 trying to get her messages out to the world.
Wow.
She got nothing. That's not true. She sold a few books, a couple of different publishers, nothing to speak of. She found our company, Top Talent Agency. Then we met and we got married. And as I say, we can't do that with clients because, you know, it gets complex. But she's a client. She has now got 3 books out in the marketplace. She will possibly tell you this. She's won 12 awards. Wow. She and I have both been the proud recipients of the White House Lifetime Achievement, the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And it's like we got that and said, whoa, someone's watching. That's because people know us.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And she's a columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune now, and she's been invited. She now hosts a television show, Kids' Lives Matter. She'll tell you about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you, after I get a sip of water,
yeah, take your time, because what you're about to say is very important. There's people that would literally pay dollars for big dollars, for this information.
So I want to give you something useful. Theory and philosophy is fine. My story, don't believe a thing I say, because whose story? This is mine. It doesn't matter. Here's something that you can try on for yourself to get you featured on radio, terrestrial radio, not AM, you know, not internet, which is great. I'm going to take it a little bit different. Barbara Ann, do you listen to talk radio?
I do, actually, on my way over, because I needed to make sure that I didn't run into the traffic issues I ran into the last time I came to the studio.
Okay. Most people, in my experience, I'm laughing because we don't have talk radio here. We've got 2 local stations, and they're not talk. Most people listen to talk radio. Now, I invite you, find a program you like. Now, I'm not particularly a sports fan, so I'm not going to want to have an interview on a sports show because I don't know. I don't even know who won the last Super Bowl. Crazy? I don't know. Find a show, a station you listen to. Find a host you like. Now, watch this. A typical interview on talk radio is 20 minutes. That means 3 guests an hour, allowing commercials and ads and all that. Typical show, 3 hours. That's 9 guests a day. Typical of these stations, 3 different talk show hosts. Do the math. That's 3 shows, 3 times a day, 5 days a week, times 50 weeks a year, allowing 2 weeks for the host to go on vacation. Barbara Ann, that's 6,750 guests every year.
Yeah.
They're looking for you.
Wow.
We were all under the assumption we need them. They need you.
Yeah.
They need to fill the air. Just like you do, Barbara Ann. If you don't have guests, you don't have a show.
Yes.
So How do you pitch them? No one cares what you do. I say that from a loving space. When you're, and you know what I told Barbara Ann when I was looking to do this show, I didn't tell her about my credentials. Obviously, I sent her my resume, but but I didn't say how good, wonderful. She didn't care. What Barbara Ann wanted, because she's like every single host, is what are you, the viewer, going to get out of this? That's what you pitch. You tell them what the audience is going to get out of it. And you, as a matter of fact, I have a document. Barbara, I give 2 gifts, I will. It's called 10 Reasons People Listen to Dr. Richard Kaye. Now, it sounds like it's about me because it is. I made it up. And I've created a template and a video of that. And I would have sent it, ladies and gentlemen, to Barbara Ann. And she says, oh, this guy's done some stuff. He's got credentials. He's been around. He's won awards. He understands this. That's what you want the host to say about you. You want them to say, I choose you. So, as a matter of fact, why don't I give it to you now? RichardKaye.com, RichardKaye.com /1000, the number 1000. I'll give you a template that you can make for yourself. So people say, I want to choose you. Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Ann's inundated with people who apply to her program. And I'm honored that you got both my wife and me. That's cool. Every host, live stage, television, radio, podcast, they're inundated.
Yep.
What makes you stand out?
Yeah.
Now, what not to do is pester them. Oh, by the way, on radio, don't bother to pitch the host. When I started this millennia ago, it seems, find the producer. It's the producer who's going to make the initial decision. Depending on the structure, they may or may not even pass it on to the host. They just may say, here's your guest. You find the producer. Way back when, I had to go in the yellow pages and look. Today, where do you find it? It's called the internet. Find out who the producer is. Send a personal email letter to them. Do not pester them. And, if you don't hear in a week or 10 days, great, follow up again. But don't call them 24 hours later. Hey, you get my No. Because then you go and file 13. Then you get trashed.
Yeah.
Be nice about it. Tell them what they're going to get. Don't pester them. And get yourself media trained so you know how to talk, how to answer. Do not answer monosyllabically. If you're asked a question, don't say yes or no. You want to engage. And total transparency. Barbara Ann and I are engaging one another here. That's what makes it more interesting. I don't know if you would even allow it, but if I sat here and talked for 30 minutes, you say, click next. I'm not even going to hear that one.
Oh, no. No. You know what? In some ways it would depend because my show is a little teeny bit different. You're right. I mean, I am one of the few hosts that absolutely vets every person, but that's because a huge part of my brand is making sure I'm talking to people who are authentic about what their purpose is. And that's what really drew me to both you and your wife separately. And everybody that I feature, I want to make sure that people are really authentic about why they do what they do and how they figured out their purpose. And so if that took a half hour, okay. But yes, it does make for a more interesting interview when we interact.
Yes. And, you've seen it on television, ladies and gentlemen. A host, I don't know your age, I don't want to know, but I go back to Johnny Carson, even go back before that to Alan King. And sometimes they had guests on there, and it's like, hello, are you awake?
Yeah.
So you want to be engaging. You want to be playful. And I have an adage, if it's not fun, don't do it.
Yep.
And if you must do it, make it fun. Make it fun.
Agreed. So so you've offered this template, you gave the website. What other advice do you have for entrepreneurs? Because there's so many outlets out there now. There's so many different ways. And so how do you get above the noise of all of the other, there's the podcasts and videos and YouTube and TikTok and the local news and the radio. How do you differentiate yourself?
One of the ways that we work with people is a best-selling book. Again, Angela tried and tried and tried. She didn't have the right connections, didn't know the right people didn't know her. Now, what does a book do? It says, I've taken the time to express my knowledge, wisdom, and information. Now, there are three kinds of publishers, 50,000-foot view, the big houses, Random, Putnam. If they take you, they're going to ask you, what's your marketing budget? Publish just means disseminate information. And they own you for typically 5 years. Okay, not you. They own the content. They own the copyright. Yeah. Then there's you and me as an individual. We can write a book, go on Kindle KDP, publish it. No one's going to know about it. Oh, yeah, you got a handful of friends, Facebook, whatever you want to do. You need to, okay. Then you have us. We're a hybrid publisher. We're in the spectrum in the middle there. We edit it. We proofread it. I'm working with a young man now. Young man, he says, I can't stand writing. We'll ghostwrite it with you. We lay it out. You want to make sure it's eye candy. And then we split test the cover. Barbara Ann, when you go into a bookstore or even a library, the reason you pick a book off the shelf is the cover says, look at me. We want to make sure the cover is very attractive. Mm-hmm. Then we market the heck out of it. Every one we take on, we will guarantee number one in multiple categories. How can we do that? Because of who knows us. And I could tell you story after story after story, which would bore you. It's just, that's one way. Another way is getting featured in big city newspapers. Again, when you look and you see a story about someone, it's a newsworthy story. And oh, by the way, here's a little bio that you can click on this link or go to this link and find somebody. That gives you credibility. And I speak, my personal experience, having been there and done that. And that's the knowledge, wisdom, and information that I share with other people, how to stand out from the crowd. Otherwise, you're just one of everybody else. And it's a crapshoot. Today, we live in a one-click world. Someone looks, be accessible. I'm astonished at how many people on their website, and Barbara, I hope it's not you, because I don't remember checking, don't make it a challenge for people to get in touch with you. Well, I've got a form on my website. How do you like going out and filling out a form and hoping that someone will get back to you beyond the autoresponder? Yeah, it's no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Put an email address. Put a phone number.
All of ours are right out there. You can.
Thank you.
Right there.
Thank you.
Right there, right in front of you.
That's the way people find you. Because if they can't, next. Mm-hmm. So you want to be visible. And speaking of visibility, if you want to get in touch with me and have a conversation, talkaboutpublicity.com. Takes you to my calendar. How simple is that? It's easy for people to reach out to me. Does that answer that question, Barbara Ann?
It does, and actually it answers the next question because we're actually at time. And so the next question I was going to ask is, how do people follow up with you? I mean, I know how I'm going to follow up with you because I've been inundated with, you need to write a book, But how do other people? And so could you repeat that address one more time?
Talkaboutpublicity.com.
All right.
Talkaboutpublicity.com. And then earlier on, I said I was going to give you, I don't care what kind of publicity you've already got, richardk.com/leverage, LEVERAGE. And it'll take you to, less than 10-minute video of different ways to leverage everything you've got. So, yeah, and Barbara, I'd love to work with you. One other thing, and total transparency here, thank the host. Barbara Ann, you'll get an email from me when we're complete here, thanking you for the opportunity to serve you and your audience. Ladies and gentlemen, most people don't do that.
Yeah.
So thank the person who has given you the time to share your information.
And on that note, I always thank my guests. So thank you so much for being on. And please, folks, take advantage. If you go to his site, you will see all of the different people that have been featured on some seriously major publications. And yes, we will be talking in the near future. Now, as for our upcoming guests, you really don't want to miss any of our conversations with them either. You never know what kind of tips you're going to get from guests like Richard, aka Dr. Richard Kaye. Our upcoming guests include business owners and coaches, authors, technology experts, entrepreneurs. I've mentioned in some past episodes, we've got some different advocates, one specifically around disability, and a lot of guests who've overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges to find their purpose. So please tune in and learn more and be inspired about how they did what they did and how you can also. And if you missed our past guests and you want to check out any of our episodes, all of seasons 1, 2, and 3 to date are available on demand on rvntelevision.com as well as Roku. These days, as you heard us talking, you have so many viewing choices. There's a lot out there. So thank you very much for watching our show. And please tell a friend or colleague about us and what makes us different. And then, of course, as a reminder, you can watch us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, on demand on rvntelevision.com as well as on Roku. And also, please remember, whether you're looking to make changes in your business or life, no matter how big or small, tune in again for more inspirational, illuminating, and informational conversations with guests like Richard Kaye, who decided to just pivot, pursue his passion, overcome whatever challenges may or may not exist in their paths to find their core purpose and live it.